Wow, I'm impressed. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Bulmer. I'm with M&T Bank and Wilmington Trust. I'm a Vice President and Segment Marketing Manager with the bank. And also, as well, I'm a proud 2014 graduate of the Loyola Executive MBA program. First, I'd like to thank the students, faculty, and others for attending tonight's session. And secondly, I'd like to recognize Eileen Krasser from our marketing sponsorship, who supports the Ravens sponsorship that I'll be speaking about in a little bit. When I think about tonight's session, it really reflects a commitment from the bank for this region, not only through our partnership with Loyola, but the partnership with the Ravens that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But this lecture series that we've been doing for quite some time really provides a great forum to kind of share kind of subject matter expertise and insights. And tonight we'll certainly learn about the Baltimore Ravens and how they approach marketing and from a strategic marketing perspective. But I think this forum helps really exemplify that. As well as this year's speaker, Brad Downs, who's with the Baltimore Ravens and Vice President of Marketing. Really, the other half of this, which is really exciting for us tonight, is the partnership with the bank and the Ravens, which began in 2003. And we just extended it until 2027. And that partnership includes a number of things which you're probably familiar with the naming rights to the stadium, as well as community-focused programs. And Brad certainly has been a great partner to the bank, and it's my pleasure to introduce him tonight. Brad, who joined the Ravens in 2002, leads advertising, branding, game entertainment, fan development, I wish I got to do that, promotions and partnership activation efforts. Under his guidance, the team's youth initiatives were revamped and led by the creation of RISE, the first of its kind youth football program encouraged participation in sports and engaged the youth through high school football players. The Ravens are widely recognized as a leader in fan engagement, due in the large part of success of its Purple Fan Club for Women, which eclipsed 55,000 members recently. In 2006, Brad was named Baltimore Business Journal's 40 Under 40 honorees, and Brad is a graduate of Robert Morris University and serves on the board for the Ravens Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brad Downs.
Thanks, Craig. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here tonight. I'm very excited to be here tonight and spend some time with you guys. I would be a little more excited if Sunday's outcome was a little different, but I always like to start these and kind of ask a few questions and see how much work I have to do. College campuses is always humbling for me. So how many football fans do we have in the room? Show of hands. Okay. How many Ravens fans do we have in the room? Okay, that's pretty good. This is the one that always gets me. How many Steeler fans in the room? Oh, okay. We'll work on that, Nicholas. Okay, that's better than normal. Okay, so I feel pretty good about that. But anyway, it's a pleasure to be here tonight. And what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is brand and fan engagement. So I'll give a quick overview of my career. I graduated from Robert Morris University. I was a sport management major. Did a few internships while I was at Robert Morris, and just love sports. I love the business side of sports. You know, I played football. I was a student athlete. And fell in love with the sports business. So I did an internship with the Ravens, and nothing worked out full time there. So through some contacts, I ended up at Adelphia Business Solutions, which is not sports, right? But I went there when Adelphia did the naming rights to Adelphia Coliseum, the home of the Tennessee Titans, which is now Nissan Stadium. So I went to Adelphia to help implement the naming rights for the stadium deal, and then just through a couple of years at Adelphia, worked my way a little bit out of that and more into a traditional marketing job for our South region, which was a really good job, but B2B telecom wasn't my passion. So I had the opportunity to come back to the Ravens in 2002 and have been fortunate enough to be there ever since. I came back in fan development and worked on our fan development initiatives, spent some time working in promotions, and developing promotions that then we worked with our partners on. And then I did 5 years. I sold sponsorships and partnerships with the team, and that was a really fun time. I learned a lot selling sponsorships. It's a really difficult thing to do, to ask people for money, but developed a tremendous amount of relationships in that role. And then about 5 years ago, I moved back into the marketing department as the director of marketing, and then was promoted to vice president of marketing. So I've been very fortunate. That's pretty rare in the sports business to move up within the same organization, but the Ravens are a tremendous organization to work for that value their employees, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had. So a quick overview about my talk tonight. I'm going to talk about marketing and fan engagement and the strategy behind that. And then we're going to work into kind of marketing campaign and brand engagement, which we focused on a lot this past off season. So I'm going to walk you through, give you an overview of those things and the process that was involved, and then end with some of the results of that work this year. So marketing for the Ravens, marketing takes on a lot of terms. Sales gets lumped into marketing. Marketing's a broad term. But here's what marketing is for the Ravens. It's creative and advertising, brand, graphics, any type of advertising that we do with the team, events and entertainment, so game day entertainment, special events outside of game day, events around game day, and then the fan development initiatives that I'll dive into a little more as we move on tonight. Women's marketing, youth marketing, and then fan activations. So we work closely with our sponsorship department to bring some of the partnership assets to life. As Craig mentioned, M&T Bank is our number one partner, and they are heavily involved in our marketing planning and our marketing initiatives, so we're appreciative of them without a doubt. So we collaborate on a daily basis with our media team, digital media, broadcasting, social media. That does not fall in our marketing department. We work with them on a daily basis. Our corporate partnerships department, as I mentioned earlier, and then ticketing and operations. Clearly ticket marketing is a huge piece of our business, especially in today's world where the ticket landscape could be a whole separate presentation on its own. But the state of tickets for anything in our world today has changed drastically over the last 10 years even. So fan engagement. So the Ravens have always been ahead of the curve from a fan engagement standpoint, driven by the Modells. When the Modells moved the Browns to Baltimore in 1996, they knew they were sandwiched in between Philadelphia and Washington and had some challenges to endear themselves to the Baltimore market. It was a market that had been burned by the Colts the Colts who had moved out of town in 1983 to Indianapolis, and they knew that they needed to go above and beyond from an engagement standpoint, and we're really at the forefront of a lot of the things that you see today, and a lot of the things that I'm about to talk about have history all the way back to '96. So they were tremendous pioneers from a fan engagement standpoint and what it means to develop relationships with fans. So I'll touch on a number of those things that we do right now. So I'll start with why the Ravens brand is important. So we have a fan base that ranges, depending on the year and the success of the team, anywhere from 3.3 million to 5 million fans. And that's a broad audience. We are number one in our market. The NFL as a whole, you can see amongst any demographic you can come up with is number one. I know there's been some negativity around the NFL, but they're still the number one sport out there. So that's a big deal. The fan interest in the NFL is number one 11 out of 12 months of the year. Can anybody take a guess as to the 1 month that NFL isn't top of mind? Close. Anybody? April, opening day. So April is the only month that the NFL is not top of mind. And that kind of moves back and forth each year. So 72% of the people in Baltimore watch, attend, or listen to our games, which is great market share for us. And then finally, it creates a significant role for us in the community, and it's a role that we've embraced since day one and continue to try to be ambassadors in the community and bring the community together. So what are our goals? So with all that said, our number one goal is to continue to grow the fan base. So how does that start? It starts with retention. We got to keep our fans that we have. And then within those fans, I mentioned that range of anywhere from 3 to 5 million fans. We want to deepen that level of fandom, that level of avidity amongst those fans, so that there's not as much ebb and flow in fan bases based on wins and losses. Clearly, the number one driver is wins and losses, but what we try to do is we try to develop deeper connections, deeper relationships with our fan base so that if we do go a few years without missing the playoffs, they're still bleeding purple with us. So, and then we always want to add new fans. There's always an opportunity to add new fans. For us, whether that's expanding our territory and getting closer down to DC, we have some displaced fan initiatives from our fans all around the world. And I have a case study about our trip to London last year, and that was a pretty eye-opening experience for us. We want to keep the stadium full and sold out. That's a top priority for us each year. We want to generate revenue. We want to create marketing initiatives, fan programs, events that generate revenue, whether that's from a partnership standpoint with our partners that have a mutual goal and provide benefit to our fans, or whether that's from the events or programs themselves. That's always a priority as well. Maintain and monitor the impact of the brand and excitement and engagement with the brand, which I'll touch on a lot more here in a bit. So some considerations. Everybody's different. Not all fans are the same. We need the deeper engagement to cultivate the lifelong fan. So if we focus on that fan base as a whole and treat them all the same, we're never going to get there. We're never going to get there. We're never going to speak to them at the level they want us to speak to them. We're never going to give them the opportunity that they want with the Ravens. So how do we continue to do this, and how do we continue to grow that affinity? So stages of fan development, as we've identified them with the team: play, attend, watch, follow, and engage, develop that relationship. So the two stages there that we impact the most with the Ravens are play and then engage and develop that relationship. And then our philosophy is, if we can get kids, adults, teens playing our sport, engaging with our sport, if we can get them to an event, if we can develop a relationship with them, attend, watch, and follow are the next steps. So we start with there, and a lot of our initiatives are based in that. I included some pictures here of our head coach slapping the "Play Like a Raven" sign, and then a father and son doing the same thing at one of our events, and trying to create those memorable experiences. Youth football team playing on the field, and then 2 kids at our movie night at M&T Bank Stadium. So we believe in a fan-first mentality. So a lot of people look at demographics and strictly by whatever demographic level you fall in. And that's great, but a key driver of your fandom, of your habits, is by life stage. And so we really wanted to look at fans by life stage, and we do that more now. If you have 2 people that are the same age, they could be at very different stages in their life, whether they are just out of college, whether they are married and starting a family, whether they have a job that they're successful in or not. Everybody's at different life stages. So we've tried to deploy that philosophy when we look at our fan base and look at these opportunities. And then what drives them to become fans? So there's this I-we core team model. The I focuses on the individual. These are our play initiatives. We want people to play football. And it's not just playing football on the field. It's, whether it's Madden video game or fantasy football or, rec league, social league, whatever the case may be. We want people playing the sport. If you play the sport, there's a better chance you're going to be a fan of the game. And that's what we want at the end of the day. Now, it also presents some challenges. If you play fantasy football or Madden, there's a good chance that the team you play with or the guy you draft in fantasy, you're gonna be a fan of that guy, and they might not always be Ravens. So that creates a little bit of an issue, but we'd rather them be fans of football first. The we is a growing part of sports and entertainment. It's the social component. It's getting together to watch a game. It's posting pictures and commiserating with people who are watching the game. And everybody has multiple screens when they watch a sport now and talk to other fans. It's that social component of it. And then the core team, that's following the Ravens. That's our fans. The Ravens are a priority to them, and we want them to pass the Ravens down from generation to generation. It's important to them to do that. So when we look at it, that area in the middle that has a little bit of all of those are our most engaged fans, and that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to move as many people to the center of that as possible, and that's our most engaged fans. So what opportunities do we have to engage with them? So on for those fans that just watch and listen to the game, well, it's easy for them to turn that off if we're not having a great season. So this is about as low an engagement option as we have. But we have some things that we can do that we can reach them beyond the game, whether it's contest promotions, fantasy football, gear. A lot of people like to wear gear when they watch the game, which is great. And then, from a Ravens standpoint, we have a radio broadcast week in and week out, so we have some ability to reach fans in that regard. And then TV broadcast, the way the NFL is structured, we control our preseason broadcast. We don't, obviously, the TV networks control the regular season broadcast. So we have a few opportunities there, but not as many as we'd like. If we can get fans to the game, you can see, and I'm not going to go through all these right now, but you can see how the engagement opportunities grow and the entertainment opportunities grow. So we have a better chance of having a bigger impact on your day, a more meaningful engagement beyond just the product on the field. And then year-round, we do events, lifestyle marketing, different entertainment, community relations, broadcast. So we want our fans to have a combination of all these, and that's how we grow that avidity. That's how we deepen their connection to the team. So most people become a first-time fan of the NFL between the ages of 6 and 17. So all those hands that went up, how many of you were an NFL fan or a football fan as a kid? So that's why youth initiatives are so important. And then here, with that said, there's still a fair amount of people who become fans in adulthood, and that's led by female fans, as that's 40%. So you'll see a lot of our initiatives from a fan development standpoint are focused on youth and female. So I'll roll through a couple of examples of some of our fan development initiatives. We have fan communities, lifestyles, and groups. So our communities, Rise and Purple, those are the youth and female initiatives that I spoke about. Tailgaters, that's a lifestyle. We have a strong contingent of fans who love to tailgate, and so we embrace that, and we want them to be a part of that. And then our fan groups, we have Ravens, Roosts, and Nests locally who are passionate about our team, and they have created their own groups. And then we've realized over the last few years we have a growing number of displaced fans in other markets. So whether it's in California or Chicago or Atlanta or Florida, internationally, we've got a lot of displaced fans that we're working on and trying to deploy some initiatives for them that show them that they're part of the team. So I put together, this video is a couple years old, but it's a good summary of some of those experiential things that I mentioned earlier about growing that relationship, and this is through our youth program. So this video gives a good summary of it.
The most important part about the team is the team. Thank you. The team. It's all that matters. Everything you do is for the team, right?
Being a Ravens team on the rise, our kids became, I want to say they became closer. They all enjoyed being together. They enjoyed coming and playing for the Ravens. They just felt they were big wigs once they were able to come play with the Ravens.
Somebody cared, some pro athletes really cared, the organization cared about what they were doing.
I like the teamwork, and it feels like another family.
It helped that team who hadn't had that bond together. They went from a team who hadn't won any games, 3 games in 2 years, to going to play for the league championship.
Being another part of the family, watching these young boys grow up in the young men, that's my enjoyment.
The team was invited to play in an exhibition game during halftime at one of the Ravens games, preseason. And that was the single most exciting thing they could have ever done. To see those boys and girl walk on the field during halftime in front of that crowd of thousands of people You could not wipe the smiles off of the coaches' faces, the parents' faces. The kids were elated. It was just a great experience, and the Ravens Rise brought that to them.
So we allowed them to change in the locker room, and that was a great experience from my playing days to understand the whole experience of that and finalize with coming out through the smoke. It drew closeness with our team, not only our team, our parents, and our community.
Kids came out of the tunnel, the boys were walking around the stadium to go get ready, and fans just kept leaning over, giving them high fives the whole way around. That was awesome.
Then I saw my son on the big screen and screaming, and the whole family, everybody was excited to see that. And when they made tackles, you could actually see them on the screen. And whole team parents, we all sat in one place, and everybody was cheering the team on.
This is awesome. This is better than I even imagined it. No matter what happened that season, that's a day that none of them are going to forget. You know what I mean? They're going to be 30, 40 years old thinking about, that was pretty cool running out that tunnel. We got everything from jerseys to mouthpieces to footballs to Under Armour gloves. It's been fantastic. The kids loved it, and this has been a wonderful experience for everybody.
It's given us opportunity for a lot of resources that we wouldn't have otherwise. Coaches training, newsletter. We also got notice of things that were happening before it was out to the general public. So we got to utilize a lot of that.
It impacted the team because it impacted me. It changed the way I did things. No more of the hard line, this is the final stop. It was more of a give and take, They give to me, I give to them.
The Ravens Rise program started a Team Mom of the Year, and my coach nominated me, and I was one of 5 women selected for the honor of Team Mom of the Year. I loved meeting the other team moms because that's not something that the moms get to do in part of the regular season. There's too many things going on during the game to be able to do that. So meeting the other team moms was great.
The Ravens are my favorite NFL team, so I think I'm kind of like a part of it.
Even when they came to the practice facilities, they seen that their dreams are attainable by seeing some of the players close up and everything.
Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. The team, the team, the team.
So you saw a lot of the things that I mentioned earlier, creating those lifelong memories, creating a sense of community, things along those lines. That's what we're going for with all of our fan engagement opportunities. Purple, our women's club, we have just over 55,000 members. It's a free club, and you get a monthly newsletter. We have a Facebook page. But even within that, 55,000 is a big number. So, there's a range of people by that life stage that I mentioned earlier. So we do 12 different events within our Purple Club alone that are all targeted at different opportunities for people who may enjoy that, whether it's an away game viewing party, whether it's a bingo night, a paint night, something along those lines. That's what we try to do with our Purple Club. So a similar concept. So female fans lead several key football activities, including wearing purple and buying merchandise. That's why, it's such an important fan segment for us, for sure. Transitioning into the stadium and game day, 25% of fans say they watch football, but 40% say they would want to come to a game. So that's a big number for us because we need to work on that 40% and how can we get them to a game. We've been fortunate to be sold out for most of our history. The change in ticketing, though, there's no such thing as a sellout really anymore. You can go, if you have the resources, you can wake up the morning of the Super Bowl and go to Ticket Exchange or whatever site you want, and you can buy tickets to the Super Bowl if you have the resources to do it. So there's really no such thing as a sellout. Tickets are always available, so that's an important thing for us. So from a game entertainment and game day standpoint, our goal is to be the best in sports. So we want to put on the best show in sports. It's critical to our renewal, and it's our core. We need the stadium to be full to drive that place to be. Like M&T Bank Stadium has to be the place to be to drive the rest of our fan base. It's a small percentage of our fans that actually come to our games, but it's the most important piece of it. So it starts when you pull onto the lot at M&T. 3 years ago, we realized we had a problem with our game day staff, our staff in general. So we have just over 3,000 employees that only work game day. And there's a lot of turnover in that week by week. We only have 10 games a year. So as you can imagine, every week you get new faces. And so we worked with the Disney Institute to revamp our whole process as far as training and game day staff and improving that experience. And it's worked tremendously. Fast forward, and now we have a guest experience group who our director of guest experience we hired from Disney. So it's been a major initiative of the team, and it's paid dividends for us so far. So then some of our pregame entertainment, Ravens Walk, which is our walkway between M&T Bank Stadium and Oriole Park. So that's a main entertainment hub for us on game day with sponsor activations, fan interactives, food, beverage, live music, etc. And then in-game, pregame introductions, promotions, season ticket rewards, pregame and halftime entertainment, and then our entertainment groups, our cheerleaders, we have a full marching band and our mascot. These are all things around the game that are a focus of us because whether we win or lose, we want fans to go home saying that they had a great day. So we started our PSL owner rewards just to highlight that really quick. So we added this a few years ago, the opportunity for fans to get exclusive experiences. This picture's from the tunnel. And it's things like this. It's the picture on the left side is some of our fans that are on the field pregame, during pregame introductions, and then the picture on the right is that tunnel experience. And just a few things to point out. I love these pictures because everybody has look at the picture. Everybody has their cell phone out. Everybody has this going on. So that's huge for us because it's creating that memory that you want to go back and reference, and then chances are they're going to share that as well for us. The picture on the right with the little boy, that's one of our starting offensive linemen who came out of the tunnel and just decided to pick up that little boy. And my favorite is the look on the dad's face. I think he's more excited than the kid. There may be a little bit of terror in the kid's face. He may be a little scared right there, but the dad looks super excited. So it's that bonding with families and that focus there that those are the things that we're going for. I mentioned our entertainment groups, our cheerleaders. We have mascots, both furry and real, and then our marching Ravens, who are proudly presented by M&T Bank. And then the last piece here, we have year-round events. We want to be top of mind 12 months out of the year, not just 11. So we create events, whether it's around tentpole NFL times like the draft. We do an annual venture to Ocean City for Beach Bash to throw a bunch of beach events for our fans. And then that picture is movie night that I referenced earlier. So that's about 1,500 families that are just all over our field at the stadium, which is a really cool night. We haven't been able to have it for the last 2 years because of stadium construction, but we're hopeful to bring it back soon. So the total attendance at all those events is roughly about 130,000 outside of game day. So that's a good engagement number for us and a good opportunity to reach those fans. So quick case study on London to kind of see how this all comes to life. Last year we played our first game in London, our first international game ever. And so our goals were pretty clear. Engage with our international fans, grow that fan base and bring new fans to the funnel, as I mentioned earlier, and then provide an entertainment, a taste of Baltimore for our fans who traveled over there. So what did we do? We took over a group of our differentiators, our marching band. We took over 11-piece pep band. We took over 8 cheerleaders, including our stunt team, which is a unique differentiator for us. We have a co-ed cheerleading squad. We took over a mascot, and then our Mount Rushmore of legends, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Jonathan Ogden. So we wanted to bring a little bit of Baltimore and be who we were, but with a different fan base over there. We wanted to make a spectacle. If you didn't know the NFL, if you didn't know the Ravens, we wanted huge crowds. We wanted to create that spectacle, to create that intrigue around the Ravens. And then obviously we wanted to drive the story socially. So what did we do? We were the first team to go over there. Now I think it's commonplace. The teams since us have done it. We wrapped a bus. So we wrapped a bus, a double-decker bus. That's our cheerleaders and pep band up there in front of St. Paul's Cathedral. And on Friday, we drove all over the city of London. And the band was playing from the top of the bus. And I mean, it was spectacle 101. It was pretty insane. But we attracted quite a crowd. That's from inside St. Paul's. But you can see everywhere we went, there were crowds around, and this is just a crowded street corner, but again, you go to all the phones that were out. We did get a couple of number one salutes over there by people who weren't NFL fans. So not everybody was thrilled with the spectacle that we were creating, but it accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. This was our pub, so we took over a pub for a week, the Admiralty there, and this was right in Trafalgar Square. So on Saturday when we pulled up, this was the scene at the pub. The area to the right there is supposed to be a functioning alley where cars go, but our fans just completely overtook the street. So, but what did we learn from it? We collected information, we had data collection points, and we collected information on fans from 16 different countries while we were there. So that was a really powerful moment for us and a really eye-opening experience as to our fan base and the strength of our fan base. Now, I always tell people, when my head hit the pillow Saturday night, I never felt better about our fan base, and then the game happened. So we played one of the worst games in our franchise history, and then that was the week, if you guys recall, that a lot of the social justice protests, the anthem protests, the kneeling started that weekend. So it's just a perfect example of how in this business, as much as you do, as much effort as you put in, there are things that are always going to be beyond your control. So that leads us, it's a nice segue into the off season. So, the NFL had a rough year from a PR standpoint last year, and the Ravens were at the forefront of that. So we needed an off-season campaign. There was so much negativity in the off-season, not only things around the anthem, but the way our season ended. It was our third straight year of missing the playoffs, and for those Ravens fans in here, 4th and 12? I mean, how painful is that? And then you have to see the Bills dancing around because we got the Bills in the playoffs, and it was a really rough end to the season. I get a little upset just talking about it still, but so we needed some positivity out there. Everything was negative. So, the second number here, the team struggles with a perceived lack of momentum. 1 in 4 fans believe that the team is becoming less popular. That was concerning to us. We have a great fan base, and the negativity was overtaking the market. So we wanted to create an off-season campaign. These are some of the quotes that we got from our off-season surveys. And there's a lot of positive comments on here. There's always someone who thinks they're bigger and better than we are, and we take those people down. A lot of positive, but there's some negative ones that creep in here too. I love the Ravens. Yes, I'm coming to the games, but why am I doing it? That's not a good way to be. That's not a good trend for us. So, and then clearly making a statement, play football, some of those were all factors into why we did this. So what did we want to do? Well, we wanted to be organic. We wanted to tell fan stories. We wanted to create a positive narrative and reinforce why people are fans of our team, what we do that brings people together. We wanted to put that excitement back out into the marketplace, remind people of how great the stadium experience is, and play that nostalgia play with our fans. But that can't come from us. That needed to come from our fans. So it's all about the story. We wanted this to be as authentic as possible. So we deployed an online survey and asked our season ticket holders to send us their story. Why do they love the Ravens? Why are you a fan? What's important to you? What are your best moments? What are your best memories? What are your best experiences? So we got a lot of positive feedback, and I have 2 examples, if you haven't seen them, that I wanted to show, but it kind of leads up, and we pulled it off exactly how we wanted to.
Hi, I'm Lisa Cumberland, and this is my dad, Vince Colian.
And we've been PSL owners for over 18 years. My daughter and I have been going to athletic events ever since she was able to walk to one.
And now we come to the Ravens games every Sunday.
My family goes to church on Saturdays, and the first thing that happens on Sunday morning is a telephone call from my daughter telling me what time she's going to pick me up for the game. For me, my favorite moment happened several years ago.
I was sick with breast cancer in 2009. It was probably about 10 months of surgeries and chemotherapy, and I had 3 small children, and it was just a nightmare. But even though I had to miss the beginning of the season that year, when I was able to come back, we bought club seats, and we upgraded to sit inside there, and it was amazing, one, because we were in club level, and two, because we were together. And to be there with fellow fans, I kind of just really felt like it was the end of a long and difficult time. I just feel like there's nothing like being at the stadium. There's just an energy here at M&T Bank that I really love. And as fun as it is to hear the commentary and hear the announcers talk, there's just nothing like actually being here with 57,000 other fans. Nothing else really matters for 3 hours on a Sunday, but whether your team scores or not.
For me, it's a diversion, and it's our chance to escape for that 3 or 4 hours that we spend together.
Every Sunday, we pull in the driveway, and whether we've won or lost, we always say it was a great day together. Our seats, our city, our team.
Go Ravens!
So one of the things I like about that is when asked about their favorite moments, they never once mentioned a game. They never mentioned any game specifically. It was about that experience, the diversion, the father-daughter moments, those things. And that one to me was my favorite one. But I brought one more just to show you, and this one's a little more directed at the game day experience and to just show kind of the different amounts of feedback and the diverse feedback that we got. Oh. There we go.
My name's Kevin Spencer. This is my son, Matt.
And we've been PSL owners since day one. We never miss a game.
My NFL days go way back to when I was little. I used to be a Baltimore Colts season ticket holder. I used to deliver the Baltimore News-American to make enough money that whole year just to buy season tickets. So when the Ravens came to town, me and my son were going to be season ticket holders.
One of my favorite things is the player introductions. It used to be Ray Lewis coming out of the tunnel with his dance, but now the new tradition is Suggs coming out. He raises the flames up, and us being the opposite end of the stadium, we can still feel the heat of those flames when he does that. Then he sprints down the field, he takes his helmet off right in front of us, and he gives us, that look like, are you ready for this game? That's one of my favorite parts of game day.
Well, typically we come by light rail, come up the ramps, we go right over to Ravens Walk.
And one of the really cool things is always going by that wall of honor with all the PSL owners. Seeing our name down there. We always love getting here early. We always love watching warm-ups. That's kind of our game day ritual. One of my favorite games I remember is that first playoff game we had here against the Broncos. I'll never forget the pass going off Jamal Lewis's shoulder right into Shannon Sharp's hands, tearing up the far sideline from us, and then Sam Gash coming up from behind and just leveling Bill Romanowski. Shannon Sharp going in for that touchdown. I'll never forget that play.
We've been coming to the game for a very long time to where we know everyone around us. Day one, we didn't know anyone. Today, we're the best of friends. One couple came up from Matt's wedding this year. We get invited to their house. Now they live in Atlanta.
No matter what's going on around us, we know one Sunday we're here with our friends, rooting on our favorite team. And just being there with all of these Ravens fans that we've known for all of these years just makes that game day experience so much better.
It's a great town. It's a great city. It's a great team.
Our seats, our city, our team. Go Ravens!
So it was a good campaign for us in the off season, and it accomplished what we wanted it to accomplish, which was to change the narrative a little bit, and it propelled us into the season. So while this was going on, we underwent last year a pretty in-depth brand audit. We broke down our brand and really wanted to evaluate the strength of our brand and position our brand the way our fans wanted it positioned. So I'm going to roll through this really quickly, and I'm happy to answer more questions at the end. But it was a long process, and I'll hit a few highlights as I go through. But it was an exciting process to go through, validating at times, and we learned a lot. So we started with some internal discovery with our internal staff, and then we surveyed a number of PSL owners and fans, lapsed fans, people who did not renew their PSLs, and then we created some brand themes both externally and internally. So honor history, celebrate legacy, embrace intimidation. That was one for me. Our organization was kind of built on the back of Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, hard-nosed football, intimidating defense, those Ravens-Steeler rivalry games, those hard-nosed games. So embrace the intimidation. We learned our fans liked that. They liked that edge to us. So that was a key learning. And we wanted to rally the flock, rally our fan base, inject that life into the fan base again. And then internally, most notably on here, evolving the game day experience for our current and next generation of fans. And then communicate our role in the community. We've done a tremendous amount in the community, but we were never really good at telling that story, and because it wasn't about that for us. It was about making that impact. It wasn't about celebrating what we're doing, but we did a little better job of that to our PSL owners through an annual report that we sent out. So as we break down our brand, looking at our team analysis, our competitive analysis, consumer and cultural, as I said, I'm going to cruise through some of these, but our team was built on discipline, toughness, that intimidation. And so as we guide that through, those are some of our unique qualities. Those are qualities that we can own as a brand. This is a quote from our head coach. Sometimes you got to jump into the pit with a lion. And that's our mentality. We're underdogs a lot. Our backs are against the wall a lot, and we come out fighting. So somewhere in between outlaw and hero, discipline, tough, in your face, gladiators. So it's fitting, and we didn't say that just because Terrell Suggs wore a gladiator mask at intros one time, but it's the badge of honor. We want to win any battle that we enter in order to honor our city. So that was fitting from a team standpoint. From a competitive advantage, I go back to this intimidation. M&T Bank Stadium is a horrible place for our opponents to play, and we want it to be that way. We want that home field advantage. We have a great home record, and we want to keep it that way. So the importance of our fan base, the intimidation of our fan base, our record at home, that led to this intimidation factor as our consumer takeaway, our competitive takeaway. From a consumer standpoint, we have a layered fan base, as everybody does now. We broke it into leaders of the flock and birds of a feather. The leaders of the flock are our diehard fans, our long-term PSL owners. They are very opinionated. They are very passionate about the team, and they bleed purple. They're frustrated by the fact that we haven't made the playoffs in 3 straight years. They want us to win. They want to be a part of that. The birds of the feather, those are the people who aren't necessarily coming to every game. They love the social experience. The Ravens are the social event of the week. That's what we want to be. They're a little more optimistic sometimes, but when you're on a run like we are, it's tough to be optimistic too. So it's 2 different audiences, and we want to find a balance between the 2. But the common thread between both of those audiences are that they have this bond to the team. They are unhappy when we lose, and we love that. We love the passion that they have with us. They are fiercely faithful, and that's our takeaway from a fan standpoint. And then from a cultural standpoint, a community standpoint, these are some headlines that we pulled about Baltimore. I mean, these are headlines that are out there at Baltimore. We didn't make these up. Talking about violence in Baltimore, economic devastation, what's wrong with Baltimore, is it really that bad? Well, we don't like that negativity. We feel that negativity as well, and we want to impact change. Much like the Ravens, people have a tremendous amount of pride in Baltimore, but right now morale's struggling a little bit, or at least that's the perception. So we heard from our fans, and they talked about the team being one of the leading aspects of the city, and we want to be that. We want that role. We want to have an impact in this community. So, our community is so important to us. It always has been. Our fans named the team. The fan poll named us. The fan engagement has always been a part of who we are. So, and then there's this Raven way, and our head coach talks about a lot of, when you come to Baltimore, you can be who you are, just be the best you can be. So that's kind of different than other places. We don't ask people to change, and we think that's a good philosophy for the city. So we're appreciative of the city, and we want to show that we're committed to enhancing it. So these are some of the narratives about Baltimore that we want to change. These are real headlines too, but these don't get the publicity as some of the other ones. 10th among cities for tech growth, fastest growing population under 35, 10th largest residential downtown population. These are all positive. That's positive direction for Baltimore, and we want to be there to help push positivity with the Ravens and the city of Baltimore. And whatever we can do to help that, we're ready to do that. So principle of improvement. So this is just a little summary of that, who we are, what we do, who we do it for, and why it matters. And then some of our tone words that we developed for our brand that are on those sliders there, because depending on the initiative for us, we can tone those in different ways. So I'll wrap up here with how we brought this to life. So I'll roll through some of the creative that put this together. You can see here, always more, never less. We played on, the Edgar Allan Poe poem, obviously, nevermore. Well, we said never less. So all or everything. So we didn't stick with a single campaign. We did use always more, never less a little bit, and that's been a common thread, but we've changed it up week in and week out, and there's flexibility in this brand campaign, but you can see the look remains consistency. There's that bit of intimidation. It's a little dark, some of those brand attributes that we can own. Find your own way to fly, which this is a great one. We've used this for some community initiatives. Take flight. Every decibel counts, which we use in our stadium on a regular basis. And then I have a couple videos here that we put together that brought the brand to life, and you'll see a lot of these statements that are a part of that. But the first one is an anthem piece that we used to kind of launch this brand initiative this year. And then the second one is how we kind of flex that brand message into week by week, matchup specific pump-up pieces, for lack of a better term, or we've been calling them chapters to play off the Edgar Allan Poe Raven, why we were named the Ravens. So these are the last two, and then I'm happy to take some questions.
Everyone talks about greatness like it happens all at once. Like in one single moment, it belongs to the person who wants it more. Like it comes packaged up in riches and rings, fortune and fame. Like if you want it badly enough, you can wish it into existence. But greatness is about more than just wanting it more. It's about never giving less. Never less means screaming from the stands as your fingers go numb from the cold, because every decibel counts. Never less means racking weights till the sun comes up, chasing that 1 pound gain. Never less means losing your team in the middle of the night and building it back twice. Never less means using what you've got to find your own way to fly. Because we are made of more, made by more. We are never less. In this town, fate is something we build ourselves with the little things done well, stacked up, feathers and glue, and a dogged will. With wings that span the city, beating in rhythm with 71,000 hearts, wings that lift us up, block by block, yard after yard. Every Sunday, all of us giving our all, never less.
So that's the one we used to launch our brand initiatives this year. And then this next video is from this past week, the Steeler game, which I do have a quick story at the end of this video that I'll share with you, but I don't want to spoil it beforehand.
Volumes have been written, tales of pain, sacrifice, heartbreak, triumph, but none are quite like this. A story of two tough teams, forged from two tough cities, in a struggle that has seemingly outlasted time. Their battles are defining. But how do we define the battles? Can they really be reduced to one word? Rivalry? It's not enough. It's time we expand our vocabulary, because we need a word for what this is. It's not just a rivalry. It's certainly not just a game. It's 60 relentless minutes, inspired by, fueled by the moments of old. Weeks, seasons, legacies are defined by the outcome, and new legends will be immortalized So how do we define these battles? By winning them.
So in the scope of things beyond your control, there was a word that we were going to use to define the game. But then the situation that happened in Pittsburgh, was a word that was aggressive, and it just wasn't the right moment to go there. So we changed the ending at the 11th hour. Still a great video and worked well for us, but just gives you a sense of how you always have to be aware of what's going on. And I don't know if anybody saw at the game, we took an opportunity to have a moment of silence and recognize the Steelers and what a great rivalry it is and what respect we have for them. So, but anyway, just a story, a quick little story about how you always have to be aware of your surroundings. So I'm done talking for now, but I would love to know what you guys are interested in, any questions that you have that I can answer. I'm happy to take those now. I think we have some goodie bags for anybody that asks questions, so fire away. Sure. Sounds good.
Maybe we can switch over for the sake of ending the event at 7 o'clock. Okay. Let's conclude the event, and then Brad is going to stick around, and you can ask the questions in person. Will that work?
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jason Zen. I'm the chair of marketing department. It's marketing department and the current DeFrancis scholar, Professor Rick Klink. We work together to bring Brad to campus and make this event happen. So I want to take an opportunity to thank our speaker this evening. Incidentally, that a lot of Brad's content or today's speech resonates very well with the marketing. We talk about segmenting or managing customers, not by their demographics, but by their life stages. But when the faculty is talking in the classroom, I can actually see more than 100 students of my own sitting in the audience. When I talk about those concepts, half of my students would doze off. But when the speaker talks about those concepts, I can see my students nodding their head, agree with me. I can see their eyes wide open. That speaks directly to the value that we bring dynamic, knowledgeable, exciting speaker to campus. So thank you, Brad, for the exciting speech this evening. And also I want to thank our good friends at M&T Bank through their generous support that we can bring events like this to campus. And I also want to thank students and faculty and the community friends that are coming together this evening. It's always great to see the entire community to show up at Loyola's campus. And lastly, incidentally, that Brad was talking about, they worked with Disney Institute to enhance their game day experience. We, as a department, marketing department, we also work with Disney as well. At both undergrad and graduate level, if you happen to be interested in fan engagement, or as we call it, customer experience or customer engagement, we offer a new elective that we teach students half a semester how do we manage customer experience. In the second semester, in the second half of the semester, we flip the classroom. We take students down to Disney World in Florida. We let Disney folks to teach our students how to create and manage customer engagement or customer experience. That's a very exciting elective class at the department that we offer at both graduate and undergraduate level every year. So if you happen to be interested in the subject area, you can always talk to me or any of the marketing faculty for more information. But this will probably conclude this evening's event, and Brad is going to stick around. If you have any questions, you can always come forward and speak to Brad directly. Thank you very much. Thank you.